let's get started. We are on Daf Chav Gimel Amud Bet. If you're following the art scroll with us, it's 23 B1. You know what's really interesting? I got a message from someone. They finished the whole Masechet with us. They never came to one class. They don't live here. But they never miss online.
Really?
And they finished Masechet. One of them actually reached out to me only recently. So Baruch Hashem, it's very special. Okay, so let's, maybe we might need to, should we start the Mishnah again? Let's start the Mishnah again. We're going to go back to 23A5, but we're up to 23B1. But let's go back to 23A5, okay? 23A5. Okay. When you have a person who's hayav karet, okay, so as we said already earlier, karet is only when you fulfill a avon, that the Torah said the punishment is karet, which means to be cut off. Karet va'ariri means to be cut off and to die young and to not have people that carry on your name. In other words, even if the children pass away young as well. But if they got lashes, they get out of their karet. Get out of karet, free card. Shneimar, the pasuk says, "V'nekla achicha le'enecha." Your brother will be demeaned, as we said many times already before. But the interesting thing is, the pasuk says to us, "V'nekla achicha le'enecha." Your brother will be demeaned. What does that tell you? Kishilaka. Once he got v'nekla, he's demeaned. Hareu ke'achicha. He's already like your brother. He's back out of the doghouse of a baal karet. So therefore, if a person gets lashes, then they lose their karet. What a beauty.
Right.
It's a beauty one.
I have questions about that.
Yeah, so obviously we're not talking about a scenario where it's being done according to regulation, because the punishment is karet, not malkut, right? The point there is if we gave him malkut for whatever reason, let's say as an example, they didn't realize it was a mistake, but he got malkut.
For the same sin?
For the same sin, yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay? And we'll see exactly what the halal, but again, just in terms of what the Mishnah says, that's what we've got from it so far. Says the Mishnah, Divrei Rabbi Hananiah ben Gamliel. That's the opinion of Rabbi Hananiah ben Gamliel. Indicating, if you just think about it, that there's others that disagree, right? Okay, let's continue. Amar Rabbi Hananiah ben Gamliel. Once we talked about this rabbi, let's share something else he says. If a person could do one avon, okay, and the rest of his life he pays the price. If you could do one mitzvah, sometimes one mitzvah might give you life. So let's just take a karet example. A guy dies at the age of less than 50, dies at 40, bad minan. Okay, the guy could have lived to 120. How many years did he lose? 80 years. For what? For one avera of karet. Says Rabbi Hananiah ben Gamliel, if you could lose 80 years for one avera, you could gain 80 years for one mitzvah. Fascinating. Rabbi Shimon says, you brought it as a kal vachomer, from a negative to a positive, from a avon to a mitzvah, because it's a higher rate of pay. We don't need the kal vachomer. We could have understood it directly from the pasuk. The pasuk says, and the souls that cut off, the souls that did it will be cut off. And it continues, and it says right before that, that a person should do them and live with them. Okay, so you see when the pasuk says that you should do these mitzvot and live with them, and then it continues and says that these are the things that you should not do, and if you do them, you'll get the avon v'nichreta, you'll get the v'nichretu anefashot haosot. So what do you see? That means if a person just doesn't do a avon, there's a reward for the non-doing, as if you would have done a mitzvah. Now, what's the proof here? Let's go back one more time. Before it says, you should do these are the laws, the chukot, the mishpatim, these are the things you should do, and you will live with them. Then it continues, right, and it talks about the next commandments, which are about, about adultery. What's the non-doing of adultery?
Not doing it.
Just not doing it, nothing. No, zero act. So in the passive inaction of not doing adultery, that's called that you're doing them, you're doing my statutes, and you're going to live with them.
If you're tempted.
Sorry?
Assuming you're tempted.
Exactly. We're not talking about the guy sitting here, Ben Dash. He's getting sachar for every supermodel he did not commit adultery with that he never even met, right? And would not look at him. We're talking about a person who's tempted and also has some form of opportunity to do so. Okay? The Gemara says, so a person, sometimes all he needs to do is nothing. The Mishnah carries on. Rabbi Shimon Bar Rabbi Omer. Shimon Rabbi says, "Harehu Omer rak chazak lebilti echol et adam ki adam nefesh." You should be very strong and don't eat the blood, because the blood that comes out of an animal is the nefesh. In that is the soul, the life force of the animal. Uma'im ha'adam. When it comes to blood, nobody wants to drink a cup of blood, okay? So you're naturally disgusted by drinking blood. And the Torah tells you, if you don't drink that blood, you get reward, because the Pasuk says, you should be very careful and not eat that blood, and and you'll be rewarded. If you want to look at the end of the Pasuk, look at the inside column. You see the inside column there? Number 2, don't eat the nefesh with the basar. So that's the commandment. The commandment is to not do something that you don't even want to do, okay? And if you're going to get reward for that, gezel, varayot, to steal, adultery, immorality, when a person sees those opportunities, sometimes they excited by it, they want to do it, they're tempted by it. The person is chomed, he desires it. How much more so will a person get rewarded when he is tempted and when he does have a desire? And for his generation, and for his generation's generation, ad sof kol hadorot, until the end of all generations, a person gets when they desire, they really want to do avon, and they hold themselves back from doing it. That's a tremendous form of sachar. Okay, now. The Mishnah says, Rabbi Chananya ben Akasha Omer, you might have heard this before. Rabbi Chananya ben Akasha teaches us, Hashem wants to give Am Yisrael merit. Therefore he gave them Torah mitzvot, many chukim, many mishpatim. Like it says, Hashem chafetz man, God wants to tzidko, to give you that kindness. Therefore, Yagdil Torah, he made Torah very big, v'yadir, and it was strengthened. So you see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in desiring to give you sachar, what did he do? He made the Torah bigger. Now you understand Rabbi Chananya ben Akasha in the context. What's the context? The rabbi just before said, all you got to do is sit back and do nothing. Right? And not only that, if there's an avon that you really desire and you know how to do it, then you get 10 times more reward. So says Rabbi Chananya ben Akasha, you know what? If God wanted to make sure that you have a lot of sachar in the world to come, all he's got to do is put a lot of mitzvot in the Torah, and you, by doing nothing, just by sitting back, could earn, right? Chafetz l'ma'an tzidko, yagdil Torah v'adir. Okay? Let's continue. The Mishnah that we started talking about the opinion of Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel. And we said that if a person gets malkut, they get lashes, then they're not going to get, it clears them from getting. So
because I don't want to drink the blood of somebody,
Yeah.
I don't have a desire to do that. I still get the reward even though I don't have the desire to do it. Because you said with the adultery, I have to have either the desire and the opportunity.
Yeah.
I get reward for not drinking blood on a daily basis.
So anytime there's an opportunity to drink the blood and you withhold, so like I'll give you an example. What would be the classic case? You salt your meat.
Yeah.
You salt your meat. Or someone comes up to you with a cup of blood. But that's less likely. Right?
So if you go to a non-kosher steakhouse, that would be, there's probably there's blood in that steak.
There's blood in that steak. So you'd get
steakhouse over a non-kosher steakhouse.
You'd get double whammy. Yes.
Double reward.
Double reward.
Okay.
One for not eating tarif, and the other for not eating blood.
Even though if you're raised that way, you have less of a temptation than the person that wasn't.
So what the Mishnah was teaching you is that the baseline is that this is an avon. This is a sin, and therefore that carries with it a punishment. But the Gemara, the Mishnah's chidush was that if that's what we gave you when you have no desire whatsoever, could you imagine what the sachar will be when a person has a tremendous amount of desire? Right. All right. Okay, let's continue. The Gemara says the comment that I made to you in the Mishnah. The Gemara is going to pick up with that comment. And Rabbi Yochanan says, "Cholkin chalukin alav chavirav shel Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel." If the Mishnah told me a statement, and then it says, these are the words of, right, Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, what do you know for sure? That someone else disagrees. How would you tell me something from somebody without there being a dissenting opinion? Two ways. One is, you don't say his name, the Mishnah just says it as a blank statement. That's one way. The second way is you say, Amar Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel. Say the law. Then that just means that he said it. Doesn't mean that someone disagrees with it. When you say something and then you say, Divrei, these are the words of, it sounds like there are words that disagree with that. So the Mishnah is picking up on that diuk. Rabbi Yochanan says, there are others that disagree with him. Says the Gemara, Amr Rav Barav said, Amri Berav.
This is not the part of being lashed and then getting...
Yes, on your malkut, absolving you from karet. Amre Berav, they said over in the yeshiva of Rav, Taninan, we could prove this concept from the Mishnah. And Ben, the Mishnah says, and Ben Shabbat liyom Kippurim. There's no difference. We had like 4 blot of and Ben. And Ben Shabbat liyom Kippurim. There's no difference between Shabbat and Yom Kippurim, right? Obviously, there's many differences between Shabbat and Yom Kippurim, right? But what we mean is with regards to the punishment that a person is going to receive. And Ben Shabbat Yom Kippurim, ela shezeh zedono bidei adam, v'zeh zedono behikaret. One case, if you do a zadon, if you break Shabbat on purpose and there's witnesses and you got whatever you need to get, who punishes you? Bidei adam, the bet din shel mata. V'zeh, when it comes to Yom Kippurim, there zidono b'hikaret. The zadon, if you did it on purpose, you don't get punished by you don't get unalived by the beit din. You get unalived by the shamayim with karet. Okay, v'imita says the Gemara. If this is the case, then when you get malkut, you lose out on your karet. Both of them could have a punishment in a physical court. Because if we punished you with malkut, that gets you out of karet. That means that for the sin of zadon on Yom Kippur, I paid. And how did I pay my due? In a flesh and blood court on this world. So the Amri Beirav wanted to say that you see from here, from this Mishnah that says that there's no difference between them, one gets punished in Shammai and one gets punished on earth, that there must be a dissenting opinion to Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, because Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel says that there is this. If you don't hold like Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, i.e., that getting lashes would not absolve you from karet, then Yom Kippur would be exclusively punishable by heavenly missive. Says the Gemara, Rav Nachman Yitzchak says, come on. Hamani, I mean, you could imagine what his answer would be, but his answer is not going to be that. Hamani, this Mishnah, who is Rabbi Yitzchak? It goes according to the opinion of Rabbi Yitzchak. The Amar, he holds Malkut b'chayaveh kiritot leka. The Mishnah is going according to the opinion of Rabbi Yitzchak. What does Rabbi Yitzchak hold? That whenever you have chayaveh kiritut, any mitzvah that has chayav karet, there's no malkut involved. What would that mean, therefore? That there is no malkut to get you out of the karet. But really, maybe the Mishnah agrees, right, in general, that if you got it, that would be the case.
In a way, it's a blank check. If somebody gets malkut when he's 30, he gets to live over 50, even if he doesn't.
Well, it makes
something
people honest too.
What do you mean?
If they make a sin, they're going to want to confess and get malkut so they don't get karet.
We just said that malkut doesn't take
But
away from
right here.
karet.
Okay.
According
Rabbi
to firstly, according to the opinion that's not like Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel. And now we're having another opinion, Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak is not saying it doesn't absolve you. Rabbi Yitzchak is saying that in a case of chayaveh kiritot, there is no malkut. Yeah. Let's take a look for 1 second at the Rashi at the end of the first wide line. Ha matnitan the Megillah Rabbi Yitzchaki. The Mishnah of Megillah over there that says en ben is Rabbi Yitzchak. Ulahachi kama. Therefore, it said the zadon karet b'dei shamar v'lo b'dei adam, that a willful mistake, a willful, transgression on Yom Kippur is in heaven and not in the hand of man. But according to the opinion that holds that there is malkut b'chayevei kiritot, modi l'Rab Chananya d'nifteru midei kiritatan kivan shelaku. That opinion, anyone that holds, not like Rabbi Yitzchak, that you could get lashes for such a thing, if you got those lashes, then they would already get you out. So therefore, Rabbi Yochanan lashminu decholukin. Therefore, we need Rabbi Yochanan to tell us this, because we could not have extrapolated it from the Mishnah of En Ben. Okay? Tanya, how do we know that there's such an opinion of Rabbi Yitzchak? Tanya, we learned in the Braita Rabbi Yitzchak Omer, Chayevei kiritot bichlal hayu. Chayevei kiritot were included in the chiyuv of malkut, because if you remember, when the Torah told you that you get malkut, it says basically any negative commandment you get malkut for. So chayaveh kiritot, is that a negative commandment? It is. So it should have been in the general rule of malkut. V'lama yatzat karet b'achoto. Why did we give you an extra expression by karet b'achoto? Ledono b'karet ve'lo b'malkut, to teach you that he only gets karet and not malkut. So what exactly is he talking about over here? So let's go back to that pasuk. The pasuk says, where is it here? Show you the pasuk. You see in note number 13? Ki chol asher ya'aseh mikol hato'avot ha'eleh, anyone who does from all of these abominations, we're talking about the rules of adultery there, and these souls will be cut off. So we give a general rule saying all of these adulterous cases, all of them get karet. But weirdly, for some reason, when it says if a person will take his sister and be with her, so then they're going to be cut off, they're going to have karet. So now I have a general rule of karet, and then from within the pack, it told me again that this case has karet, but all of them have karet. Right. So why did you give me the extra, the lama yatzat karet ba'achoto? Why did we review and go over again karet ba'achoto specifically? The dono karet v'lo malkut, to teach you that you get the person gets karet and not malkut. Okay. So this idea that the Torah told you in a specific case is actually going to become the case law for all cases of karet, that karet means you don't get malkut. Got it? Everyone got the limud?
So that's it. It's settled. There's no more dispute.
No jail free card.
Sorry?
It's settled. Karet.
This is Rabbi Yitzchak.
Okay.
Rabbi Yitzchak says that there's no malkut, and there's no malkut also when you get karet.
Right.
So here's the way.
It's reiterating the general statement.
Which general
You
statement?
say the achoto.
The achoto. Why is it reiterating it?
It's knocking out malkut.
Anything which was in a kelal, v'yatza min ha-kelal, lo lamed al atzmo yatza, ela lelamed, al kol ha-kelal kulo, right? Yatza. You know what that means?
No.
You have a thing in a general rule. Then it leaves the general rule, but the law is the same. So why did it leave the general rule? It's not coming to teach you about itself, it's coming to teach you about everything that was in the kelal. So therefore, Rabbi Yitzchak says follows. I know everything's karet. You're now telling me again that this one is karet. Why'd you do that? Must be to tell me that this thing, when I told you it's karet and only karet. And that law, what does it mean only karet? To exclude what?
Malkut.
To exclude malkut. And if I told that to you about the thing that was in the kelal, that left the kelal, which is now to teach not only on itself, but everything in the kelal, it's coming to tell you a general rule that anything that has karet has only karet and not malkut as well. Okay? That's the opinion of Rabbi Yitzchak. The non-Rabbi Yitzchak opinion says, no, every case of karet has karet and malkut. We just don't give you malkut because you're going to get karet. Okay? But what if we gave you malkut?
You get off of karet.
There, Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel says, you get off the karet. The opinion that disagrees against Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel holds
No possible Makkot option.
that it doesn't. No. See, this is what I'm trying to give you. There's two anchors here. One anchor is Rabbi Yitzchak. One anchor is Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel. They operate in a similar space, but they're not saying the same thing. He says that if you give lashes for someone who gets karet, then he loses his karet. Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel. What does Rabbi Yitzchak say? He does not say if you get lashes, you don't get karet. That's not what he says. That's the people who disagree with Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel.
Saying just cut it.
The other opinions. Rabbi Yitzchak is saying there's no punishment whether it's administered or not. You understand that?
And by definition, he should be saying that if you get Malkut, you're not exempt.
Of course not, because someone randomly gave you
Right,
Malkut.
right.
Now, the other opinion to Rabbi Yitzchak, what does he hold? He holds that there is a punishment of Malkut. We just don't know what they hold with if now you got Malkut. Is that clear?
So then he's disagreeing with Rabbi.
So Rabbi Yitzchak must disagree with Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel. But Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel doesn't have to disagree with the person, but the other rabbis who say that there is a punishment of Malkut don't have to agree with Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel.
Right.
You got?
Because it trumps you could get both.
They could say that they
We don't know what they would say.
but they could say that.
They could say that. They're open options. Rabbi Yitzchak can't because he holds that there's no Malkut.
Right.
Okay? So there's really four opinions here that are being held in abeyance. Okay? So far. Now let's see the Gemara. So, the Gemara continues and says, let's see, is there another way to find that the Mishnah in Megillah could fit according to Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel? What's our first way? Remember, what was the question? The Rabbi Nachman says Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel has detractors. Okay? The Gemara says, what I need you, Rabbi Yochanan. I know that already from the Mishnah. Because the Mishnah says that there's no difference between Shabbat and Yom Kippur. Right? One has Zidono Bene Adam, heavenly, earthly court. The other one has Zidono Bidei Shamayim. And if you could get punished with Malkut and that gets you off, you see you being punished in a court of man. Okay? Our answer to that is, that Mishnah is according to Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak holds that you can't there's no punishment of lashes. So therefore, when you said there's no difference between Shabbat and Yom Kippur, except for one is heavenly court, one is earthly court, you know why there's no earthly element to Zidono Karet on Yom Kippur? Because there's no Malkut. Okay? That was our first answer. Now we're going to deal with we got another answer. But let's just set up the question one more time. Rabbi Yochanan says, I'm telling you that there's a detractor. Ask the Gemara, I already know that. It says in the Mishnah, in Ben. So the Mishnah is already telling you, not like Rabbi Chanina, because if you could get Malkut and get out of Karet, that means that there's a punishment in the earthly court. By the way, what would be your, before you even look at the next Gemara, what would be your gut answer to this question? When we learned this last time, someone guessed the answer.
What's the question?
What would be your gut answer? So Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel says, if you get Malkut, you get out of Karet. Yes, the Gemara, it says over there that there's no en ben, that one is in heavenly, one is in earthly. Well, even if the punishment for Karet Yom Kippur is from Shamayim, but since if you got lashes in the earthly court, it gets you out of Karet, so you see that the punishment is in an earthly court. What would your answer be?
Well, I thought you can't get punished twice.
You can't. Rabbi Chanina, that's what Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel says. But I'm just asking you, what would your answer be to that specific question?
Karet trumps Malkut. You can't get both. You can't.
Shamayim is above Ben.
Yeah.
But why is, so and again, the Mishnah says Yom Kippur is Shamayim, is a punishment from heaven. And I'm asking you, what do you mean? But he could get Malkut in Bet Din. And if he does, then he gets out of the Karet. So you see that his punishment of Yom Kippur is in an earthly court. What's the answer?
You said it can't be there. It can only be in Shamayim.
No. That's what the Mishnah says. Right. So what would the answer to that question be? The answer to that question would be, that's not the punishment. We made a mistake. You got Malkut. We have a get out of jail free card option because it says, V'nikla achicha le'enecha. That's not the punishment. So it is a punishment. It's not the punishment you were supposed to get.
Right.
He was supposed to get karet.
It's my bad.
If we by mistake gave you the malkut, which we weren't supposed to give you, because you're going to get karet, so now you get out of the karet. But that's not to say that the punishment for zadon on Yom Kippur is in an earthly court.
Got it.
It's a double jeopardy item. Okay? Says the Gemara, exactly that answer. Rabbi Ashi says, Afil Temar Rabbanan. Even if you want to say the Mishnah follows the opinion of the Rabbanan, which means, not like Rabbi Yitzchak, that a person who has karet also gets malkut, and the malkut gets you out of, what's it called? Okay? Out of karet. Ze ikar zidono bidei adam. By Shabbat, the main thing is this. By Yom Kippur, ze ikar zidono bidei shamayim. Sorry, give me 1 second. Okay. Says the Gemara.
On Shabbat it's betin, and on Kippur
On Shabbat, it's betin. That is the punishment you're supposed to get. On Yom Kippur, the punishment you're supposed to get is from Shamayim. It happens to be that if you gave the guy malkut, and then we have a pasuk that says, "V'neklachi leinecha," you get out of your ideal punishment. But that's not to say that the punishment is not bidei Shamayim. Okay? Therefore, the Mishnah is not. Does not tell you not like Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel, because Rabbi Chanina ben Gamliel could be that Mishnah, and the only reason why it said that it's bidei shamayim is because that's the actual punishment, not malkut ideally. Amar Rav Barava said the name of Rav halacha k'Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel. The halacha follows Rabbi Chananya ben Gamliel, that what? Once you got the malkut, you don't get the karet. Amar Rabbi Yosef says, Man salik le'ela ve'ata ve'amar. 1 second. Where'd you get this from? Who went up to the Shamayim and came back and told us this thing? Gemara answers, Abaye said, Amar ela hada amar Yeshua ben Levi. This is what Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi told us. Yeah? There are 3 things that if Bedin down here does, the heavenly court agreed to what they did. Okay? So when the Mishnah says that, when Yeshua ben Levi said that, Man salik le'ela ve'ata ve'amar. His question was, how would we know that? Maybe he's going to get the malkut, and then later on, they're going to zap him from Shamayim. How do we know that he's not getting karet? When you have 2 malkuts, and I told you get out of the second one, I just told you. How does the guy know that he gets out of karet because he got the malkut? It's just a wait and see situation. That he's either going to die or he's not, right? But where do you know that from? Who told you? Who went to Shamayim and came back and gave us the verdict? Abaye said, what do you mean? We have another teaching just like this about Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi that says that there are 3 things that an earthly court does, heavenly court agrees with. Who told us? Who told us the heavenly court agrees with us? Ask the same question. Ela, rather, kirai kadashinan. We learned it from a pasuk. Hachanami over here too. Kirai kadashinan. It's not that we know the future, but we have a pasuk, and we're being doresh the pasuk, and the pasuk says, "V'nekla achicha le'enecha." Your brother shall be demeaned in front of your eyes. It calls him post demeaning. It calls him your brother. Calls him achicha. Gemara continues. Gufa. We learned on this itself. Am Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi said. 3 things Betin here on earth did they agreed in Shamayim. What are they? Eluhin. Mikra Megillah, reading the Megillah on Purim. She'elat Shalom, and greeting one another when a person says Shalom, we're using with the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay, we'll see. Exactly what that means, greeting a person with the name of Hashem. And the last thing is V'havat Ma'aser, and bringing the Ma'aser. Okay, now we're going to see exactly what are these 3 takanot. So let's look at Rashi. Rashi says, Mikra Megillah, right smack dab in the middle. See it? See right in the middle of the page in Rashi? Mikra Megillah, the Chayavin al Mikra Megillah. The Bet Din Shel Mata, the earthly court said that a person that from now on they made a takana that everyone needs to read the Megillah. So they created a mitzvah that in Shamayim is now going to be upheld.
How do you know?
Because that's the halacha with
Megillah is Rabbanan.
Megillah is midrabanan.
But it's the Oraita?
No, it's not the Oraita, but it's enforced by Shamayim.
But how does anybody know?
Like every midrabanan. So what would Abaya's answer to that be? The answer would be we learned it from the Pesukim. Which Pesukim did we learn it from?
Gemara Megillah.
The pasuk says, "Lo tasur yemin u'smol." Do not turn right nor left. Mikol asher yorucha, from anything that they rule for you. So the Torah already told you that you must listen to the Chachamim. So therefore we know that the heavenly court is going to enforce the decrees of the earthly court. Okay? Now, again, the Gemara is going to bring, in just a second, the laws of how we know it. But if we're following the Mikra, like we just saw, that Krai Darshinan, that we're Doresh Pesukim, we already have a Pasuk for that one. The Gemara continues. What's the second one? Rashi says, She'elat Shalom B'Shem, Demutar La'adam L'sh'ol B'Shlom Chavero. A person can ask his friend how he's doing, B'Shem, with the name of Hashem. Kigon Yasim Hashem Alecha Shalom. Hashem should protect you. Okay? And a person is not using the name of Shamayim Vatala. Where do we have an example of this? Huh? Nope. Nope. Megillat Ruth. What do they say to Boaz, and what does Boaz say to them? Amonai Machem. When we say Rechamonai at the Torah, where does that statement come from? It comes from Boaz. Chamovadia ironically actually says that a person should not say Shem Hashem. But you see over here that a person is allowed to inquire or extend salutations using God's name. Lishnachina, another way of understanding this, She'elat Shalom B'Shem, Dechayav Adam Mish'ol B'Shalom Chavero B'Shem. Not only that a person is allowed to, but that a person must. Ve'anu nami ki shelina nahadadi midchrinan sham Shalom Shemo Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Says the second opinion, that you must say that. Why? Like the pasuk says, V'yikra lo Hashem Shalom L'Shem Hashem. Rashi tells us that the very act of saying Shalom Aleichem, which is how we greet each other, the word Shalom is one of the names of God. So you see, it must be She'elat Shalom is mutar to mention God's name. Who allowed us to mention God's name? The Beit Din decreed that was mutar. She'elat Shalom. What's the final one? Havat Maaser, bringing Maaser. Take a look at Rashi. Rashi says, Kedamir Mimamot, we said in Yevamot, Tezra Sofer Kansinu Laleviim. He gave a fine to the Levites, Lefi Shelo Alu Imo, because they did not come back up to Yerushalayim together with him when he went back from Persia and Media. And he commanded that all the maaser that was supposed to go to the Leviim, that they should bring it to the courtyard in the house of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And the Kohanim and Leviim were equal when it came to maaser rishon. So he fined the Leviim. Like it says in Ezra, so in the tithe that was supposed to go to the Leviim, the Kohanim took equal portion in that tithe. Why? As a fine levied by Ezra Sofer. Chizkiyahu did also the same thing. He prepared these rooms to bring all the maasrot bahen, in order that the Levim should not get what they were supposed to get. You had Levim that were worshipping idols and Avodah Zarah. like it says בדברי הימים, ויאמר חזקיהו להכין לשקוט בבית עמוני, ויכינו ויביאו את התרומה ואת המעשר, וגם הוא, you see, they brought the תרומה and the מעשר to the storehouses of the בית המקדש. וגם הוא תיקן לעלות ירושלים, מעשר ירק ומעשר אילן. He also instituted another law, that you have to bring מעשר ירק of vegetables, and מעשר אילן, and מעשר from a tree. Now, let me just explain what that means. In the Torah, when we talk about maaser, what are we talking about? Tivuah. Okay? So tivuah is generally what we're talking about maaser. Like we say in the pasuk, maaser deganecha. Deganecha means your wheat, your barley, your grains. He said, Chizkiyahu instituted that the people should give maaser on their vegetables and on their fruits. Okay? תכתיב וכפרוץ הדבר הרבו בני ישראל ראשית דגן תירוש ויצהר ופרש בדרים מה כפרוץ הכולני דאורייתא נינו aren't they all מדאורייתא ומשעני the Gemara answers מעשר ירק מעשר אילן מעשר from vegetables and fruits וכתיב בתרי עשר תקאמר לו נביא לישראל הביאו את כל המעשר לבית האוצר ובחנון נבזות על מדיסקים. So we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu agreed to that concept. So it says the Gemara. We're just going to finish on these 3 points. The Gemara says, Mikra Megillah. How do we know Mikra Megillah was accepted in Shamayim? Tichtiv kimu v'kibu la'Yehudim. The Jewish people accepted, they upheld, and they accepted on the Jews. Kimu lemala, v'shekiblu lemata. If you're going to tell me that they kiemu means that they fulfilled the mitzvah. If you're going to tell me that the Jews were kiemu, then why do you need to tell me kiemu v'kibilu? Obviously, if they did what they told them to do, then they accepted what they told them to do. Answers the Gemara, the dirasha is kiemu lemala. They kept in Shamayim what they accepted on themselves lemata. So kira'ei darshinan, like we saw in the Gemara before, we're being doresh this halakha, this idea that in Shamayim they accept the punishment or the decision of the earthly court in Shamayim. The second one is v'she'elat shalom. How do we know? Tichtiv, because it says by Boaz, v'hine Boaz ba'am Bet Lechem. He's coming from Bet Lechem yom el-kotzerim, and he said to the people that were cutting down his fields, Hashem v'achem, use God's name, v'omer, and it says Hashem. God be with you, oh you warrior of valor. Okay, so this idea that you see the angel was greeting Gidon with those words, you see that from Shamayim, we had an agreement with this practice, because otherwise the Malach would not have said it. What's the proof from Boaz? What do you think? What's the proof from Boaz?
Not the statement that you just read?
By the Malach, great, because the Malach said it. But what's the proof from Boaz that what we say down here in Shamayim, they also accepted it? What's the proof from that? So let's take a look at Rashi. See, second wide line. When the Malach said it to Gidon, She'elat Shalom B'Shem Amad Yiskim, you see that he agreed. The answer is, we don't have a proof from Boaz. Boaz did it. How do you know he was right? Because we see by Gidon that the angel did it. You see? So you see something that the humans were doing down here was accepted min hashamayim through the speech, the action of the angel. Okay? The Gemara says, Mai ve'omer. 1 second. So you first told me Boaz, and then you told me ve'omer. What does it mean, ve'omer? You brought me 2 proofs. Now it's clear.
Boaz?
Sorry?
The angel copies Boaz?
That's part of the question we're about to deal
What was
with.
the time frame?
That's a big question.
You just said because he repeats what Boaz says down here.
That's how the Gemara would seem.
So
Like,
afterwards?
let's look at the first proof. The first proof was they made the decision down here, and in Shamayim they accepted the decision of the Beit Din. So we do it, and then they ratify what we did. Okay. So here Boaz did it, sounds like, and the Malach ratified it. The question is that the chronological order? Not only that, the Gemara then says no. But I see something different because it says ve'omer. My ve'omer makes it sound like there's an extra proof here. And if you're going to say Boaz hu David medate u'mishmael lo askimu al yado, and if you're going to say that when Boaz did it, maybe Boaz did it as a human being, but we have no proof that Shamayim agreed with him. Tashema will say from here ve'omer Hashem yichad gibor ha'chayil. So the Gemara, the way we're learning that Boaz is right, is from the fact that the Malach did it with Gidon. Now, here's the interesting part, okay? The Pasuk says at the beginning of Ruth, Vayihi bimeh shefot hashoftim. And it was in the time, right, of shefot hashoftim. Yes? We have a lot of different ways of finagling till we figure out what was the time frame of Ruth. But everyone agrees that it was much after.
The judges were already judging.
So how could you prove from Gidon that they accepted what Boaz did if Boaz did it after the Malach did it to Gidon? Now, let me add to this, okay? Not only do we know that it's after, but
ratification.
you can't pre-ratify.
It happened before.
He said it, and then they ratified it. We're learning it now.
But-
Ratified.
But the origin.
So maybe that's what the Braita is saying. We're bringing a proof that a big Sadiq did it. if you're going to ask me, maybe he was wrong. The answer is you don't, and it's true that it happened before.
He proved it
But we're just proving it from there.
But why can't you learn the flip?
Wait a second. We'll come on. Ask the better question.
Why can't Shamayim go before us? We'll learn from Shamayim.
That's not an example then
No,
of humans doing something that then Shamayim accepted.
Na'aseh v'nishma.
Huh?
The Jews confirmed and undertook upon themselves. That was the first one. The heavens accepted it. Then the Jews did something. This one's the opposite.
This is the opposite. So that we don't have a situation where where you have a follow-up sign that it was accepted in Shamayim. So I have a novel way of seeing this Gemara. Tell me what you think, right? The Gemara is proving from Boaz that that's the right thing. Why? Because what happened to Boaz after he did this?
He died.
No.
Got married.
He gets married to Ruth.
Oh, and then
He
David
does the
HaMelech.
mitzvah. He has the child. The child becomes David HaMelech. Da, 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 da. What do we say always? Mitzvah, goreret mitzvah. The Sifrei Musar say, if a person's not sure if something is a mitzvah or averah, what does he need to do? Look back at what he did before it. Because if the thing that preceded it was a mitzvah, then the rabbis tell us mitzvah, goreret mitzvah. If the thing that happened to Boaz after saying Hashem imachem was that he did yibum on Ruth Moabiyah, and he has a child that becomes the forebearer of David HaMelech, it must be that what he said was right. It must be that Shamayim agreed that was the right thing. Because if it was the wrong thing, what would have happened after that? More of the wrong thing, right? On that, the Gemara asks, the Braita asks, so, but how do you know? I get that you're proving it from the actions, but how do you know that Shamayim agrees with such a concept? And that the Gemara says, I have a statement for you, it's not in order, but you see that Shamayim also agrees that a person should greet somebody with the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay? Good? Let's continue. The Gemara says the last one, the Havat Maaser, bring in the Maaser, Tichtiv. The Pasuk says, remember what we said, Chizkiyahu told the people to bring all of their Maaser to the Beit HaMikdash, okay? And they got these rooms, the Lishakot, to be able to Haviu et kol Maaser Beit HaOtzar. Bring all of your Maaser, all your tithing, to the storehouse of the Beit HaMikdash. Vayiter v'beiti, that there'll be food in the Beit HaMikdash for the Kohanim. And the Pasuk says after that, what does God say? Right after telling me about this, test me on this Maaser. Amar Hashem Tzvakot, says Hashem, who is the master of armies. And I'm going to give you beracha without any limit. What does it mean without any limit? You can get beracha. What is a limitless beracha? Ram Barav said, Ad shibalu siftotechem milomar dai. What is ad bilidai? Until know enough. Ad sheyibalu, bili, means until your lips are worn out because you're saying die, enough, hajj. Okay? Clear? So you see clearly the Pasuk says, immediately following this takana, the takana of bringing this extra maaser, what does God say? I'm going to pay for it. So when God says you could test me, what do you know that God is doing? He's ratifying this gizera of Havaat Maaser. Baruch Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.